I'm Beth Weiland-Benko, the owner of Group W Genealogy. Here is a tech bit, a small piece of technology to improve both your genealogical research and your proficiency with your computer. I'm a Windows 10 user, so that platform will be my focus. However, where I can, I will point out comparable iOS solutions for you Mac users. Today's topic is the Windows Snipping Tool. Why would you want to use the snipping tool? Here are some scenarios where it may be useful. Have you ever wanted to capture an image or text from your computer screen? On Windows computers, the print screen button will capture a window or the entire screen, but what if you only wanted a portion of the window? Would you like to be able to capture the exact text of an error message so that you can do a Google search for possible solutions, or maybe show the message to your PC support person? Have you ever found a significant bit of genealogical evidence but struggled with how to save it from your screen to your computer? This Tech Bit video will show how the Windows Snipping Tool can be used to satisfy these needs. Let's get started. To access the Windows Snipping Tool on a Windows 10 PC, go to the lower left-hand corner of the screen and click on the Windows icon. Start typing Snipping Tool, and the Snipping Tool should come up as the best match. You'll recognize it by the icon, the scissors with the red circle. Click on Snipping Tool, and you're running the Snipping Tool application. Let's look at some of the options. The first option is to hide instruction text. That's just this little bit of text here at the bottom of the screen. We'll leave that unchecked for now. Always copy snips to the clipboard. This is a good idea because it will, as it says, automatically put your snips in the Windows clipboard and allow you to paste them into other applications. Include URL below snips. This option only works with the Internet Explorer browser, so I don't use it. Prompt to save snips before exiting. This is a really good idea because it will save you from exiting and losing snips that you have forgotten to save. So I leave that option checked. Show screen overlay when Snipping Tool is active. We'll see this in action in just a minute, and I think it's a good idea to keep that checked. The option here at the bottom for selection, we'll look at that just a little bit later. So let's get started and look at the different kinds of snips that we can take. So if you click on the down arrow next to the New menu option, you'll see that there are 4 different ways of taking a snip. The first is a free-form snip. This allows you to use your mouse cursor on a conventional machine or on a touchscreen device. It will allow you to use a stylus to outline the area of the screen that you want to snip. So it's really most useful on touchscreen devices when you're using a stylus. It's a little difficult to control the mouse pointer and get just an irregular shape. The rectangular snip is what I use most often. This lets you just define an area with your mouse pointer for your snip. Window snip will grab an entire window. So this is the window for the snipping tool here, and that would just allow us to grab just that window. And finally, there's a full screen snip that will grab an entire monitor's worth of an image, if that's what you wanted to do. Rectangular snip is what I use most often. Let's look at how we would use this now. So I'm going to bring up a help page from Microsoft talking about the snipping tool. And the link to this is in your show notes at the bottom of the screen below this video. Here are instructions for opening this snipping tool on Windows 10. So this is just what I demonstrated to you. For Windows 8, 8.1, things are a little bit different, and the search starts from the right-hand side of the screen. But there are instructions for doing that. Windows 7 is very similar to Windows 10, except you're clicking on the Start button and not the Windows button in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. So say that you really like the snipping tool and you want to send these instructions to a friend of yours. So let's see how we would use the snipping tool to do that. So we have our snipping tool here. We would say New. We want a rectangular snip because we're just going to grab this area of the screen. So rectangular snip, and come over here. Now you'll see that things went gray. That is the screen overlay that we saw in the options. I kind of like to have that set because it makes it clear just what you're doing when you're taking the snip. So let's grab the snip here. And we'll see the Windows Snipping Tool window is now large and contains what we've snipped from our screen. Now, unfortunately, there's no border around it, so it's a little difficult to see where that snip begins and ends. So this is when I like to go back to the options and set the selection. So show selection ink after snips are captured. Red's a little in your face. I like to use a black border. But there, now we can see where the snip begins and ends. This is the area that we have snipped. Now we can take this snip, and since we had the option checked to always have it in our clipboard, it's now available for us to put into another program, say Microsoft Word. We'll bring up Word over here, and we can paste our snip from the clipboard. If you didn't want to put the snip into a Word document, you could come over within the snipping tool and save the snip to a separate file. And you've got several choices. So they're basically picture type files that you're saving. So you can save it as a PNG, a GIF, a JPEG, or a single file HTML. I typically use JPEG or PNG. So you can save that snip anywhere you like on your computer. Once it's in the clipboard, you could also paste it into an email if you wanted to send it to a friend. So those are some of the options for what to do with your snip. So how can you use the snipping tool in your genealogical research? Suppose you were searching on the internet and you found an article that mentions one of your ancestors and you'd like to save that. So here I was searching on the Library of Congress site, Chronicling America, and I found an article about my great-great-grandfather, Silas Durr. The piece that mentions him is just right here. It's just a single paragraph on this newspaper page. So I'd like to clip that, snip it, and save it. So I make sure that I'm set for a rectangular snip, and I click on the New button, and come over here and grab that information. I could save that to my computer, but I'd really like to save it with the source citation for that newspaper clipping. So I'm going to take this snip and I'm going to save it to a new Word document just to have a place to store it temporarily. So I'm going to come up here and paste it into the Word document. And I might want to make it just a little bit larger. Now I can move my snipping tool out of the way and come over here to the newspaper article, and I see that the site gives me the source citation. Since this is just text, I can just swipe it, copy it, and then paste it into my Word document as text. And now I have the newspaper clipping and the source citation. So let me show you a little trick that I do. Now we can take a snip of this. So we have the newspaper article along with the source citation, and we can now save this together, save as, and I'm just going to, for now, just save it to my desktop. And instead of the generic name capture, I'm going to call it Silas Der Newspaper. And save. So now I have a file that contains both the newspaper article and the source citation, and they will never get separated from each other again. So that's a really useful thing to have for a genealogist. Another thing that we can do with the snipping tool, let me just close down some of these things. We're not going to save the Word document. We don't need that. We come over here and we have a picture. So I recently did a talk on cemeteries, and I used this headstone as an example of symbolism. So here we have the symbol for the Elks, and here we have the symbol for the Woodmen of the World, but I didn't know what this symbol was. So what I'd like to do is to isolate that symbol. And then in another video, I'm going to show how we can use Google image search to search for that symbol and maybe identify what organization it belongs to. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this picture so that we get that symbol nice and big, and close my snipping tool. So we'll see how we open it up again. Go to the Windows icon, click on snipping tool. We've got it here. We're going to do a rectangular area again and grab just this symbol. Okay, I'm going to save that symbol just to my desktop, and I'm going to call it symbol, not capture. Okay, so we'll have that to use later, and I'll show you how we use that in Google image search. So close that down. I'd like to show you a couple of other features of the snipping tool that will be useful to you. So I'm going to open up the symbol JPEG file in the Windows Photo Viewer and use that for demonstration purposes. Suppose you want to capture a drop-down menu such as this File menu from the Windows Photo Viewer. You'd open it up, come over here and click New. But then you notice that the drop-down menu goes away. So let's cancel that snip. The snipping tool delay feature will allow us to set up the drop-down menu and then grab it with the snipping tool. So let's set the delay to 5 seconds. Say New to start our capture. Open the drop-down menu, and after 5 seconds, we will then get the ability to take our capture. There you are. This is really useful if you're wanting to document some instructions to show someone how to utilize some of the options in the drop-down menu, and just record how you accomplish a particular task in an application. So that's very useful. Another useful option, after we turn off the delay, another useful option is to do a window snip. So say you want to capture an entire application window. So we set the option to Windows Snip, and then click in the window. And now we have the window as our capture. We can save that to our computer. The other option is the full screen. So here we have a capture of the entire screen. So it's the background, the icons that are on my desktop, and that one application that's running. So that will capture everything that's on your screen. So let's close this, and we should be reminded to save our changes. You'll remember that we set that option. In this case, we really don't want to save these since they were just for demonstration. So let's say no. We'll close the photo viewer. We don't need that. If you like the Windows Snipping Tool and you want to use it often, it's good to have it appear here on the taskbar. Click on the Windows icon, type in snip, so we bring it up again. Now we can right-click here and pin this to the taskbar. So now the snipping tool will be down at the bottom of the screen, ready to use at any time. So keep it handy, and I think you'll find that you use it pretty often. The Windows clipping tool is just an example of a clipping or screen saving tool. There are many others. For Windows, there's a product called Jing, J-I-N-G, and another one called Duck Capture. Both of those are free, and there are links to those in the show notes below. The gold standard of snipping and snagging tools is a tool called Snagit. However, it is a paid application, and it's, I believe, about $50 per license. For Mac users, there's a utility built into OS X. It's called the Grab utility, and it's accessed by commands, or by keyboard commands, Shift Command 3 or Shift Command 4. And there are links to instructions on how to use that in the show notes as well. So I hope that you find the Windows Snipping Tool and tools like it to be of use when you're using your computer for genealogy. Thank you for listening. This has been the first in a series of Tech Bit videos brought to you by Beth Weiland-Benko of Group W Genealogy. If you have comments or suggestions for future videos, please put them in the comments below. Please subscribe to this channel and watch for more Tech Bit videos coming soon. Thanks.